and has allowed you to make profits. Therefore, it is incumbent that you share your profits also with society. This is a very strong ethical principle which used to be followed in India, but unfortunately, of late we seem to have forgotten it. It is said, Krutecha pratikartavyam esha dharma sanatana. The Sanatana Dharma says, if someone has helped you, you have to return that help twofold. That is very, very important. Corporates, having been successful, must share their success also with other persons. The other thing it says is, corporates have the ability, like from the shareholders, collect with 100 hands, distribute to 1,000 hands. Shatahasta samahara, sahasrahasta samakira. This is actually a very Vedic exhortation. So what is important in corporate social responsibility is that you assume responsibility by being responsive to the requirements of society. By being responsive to the requirements, you become responsible also to what society requires. And it has been very clearly said in our country that health and education are the two most important sectors which are going to design and develop and tell what is the future of India is going to be. And if you look at sports, it covers both health and education. Sports and games are part of education. They are part of also health. So there cannot be any other better activity which encompasses both health as well as education, and therefore it should be our attempt to how we are able to attract the attention of corporates to actually do this work. And very important thing is that they have taken land from the local people, they have employed people from the local and other areas, and they cause pollution. They eat into the infrastructure of society. Therefore, there is a duty cast on them to actually return it to them. This is a very, very important fundamental requirement of understanding what corporate social responsibility means. The second thing is, unfortunately in India, everyone thinks it is the government's problem. So everyone says all public problems must find public solutions. Public problems must find public solutions. In other words, the public have to find the solution for public problems, whereas the corporates have to look at it differently. Private solutions to public problems. They have to privately find solutions to what are public problems. This is a very, very important concept of corporate social responsibility. Also at the same time, corporate social responsibility involves that not merely the shareholders but the stakeholders. And in the stakeholder, no one is more important than the customer, because the purpose of business is to create a customer. And all young people who are future customers, they have to be healthy, strong people, and that is why very important that sports and games activities will have to be done. But the question that comes up is, most corporates think, does it have a nexus? Does it have a connection between what we are doing? Does it in any way help us because we are spending some money on this activity? We have to look at it like this, that it is necessary for you to actually do some things which give you profit. There are some things which you have to do for your image, something which you have to do for the brand, something which you have to do as part of your corporate social responsibility. That is where we have to actually tell and appeal to them as to how we can do. And what I would suggest is, one, we need to identify before meeting corporates what are those activities related to the corporate's main functioning and how does sports help in that particular function. Second is, what is the expertise that the companies have and what expertise is required for either stadia maintenance or games and sports maintenance or conduct of tournaments or sponsorship of scholarships. These are all things which can be related to whatever is an essential part and function of the company itself. This is one way of looking at it. The other one is the involvement of the employees. No corporate social responsibility of a company succeeds unless there is an involvement of the employees of the company and they come forward to actually do it. So how do you actually create a cult of participation by the employees in involvement? And that is where actually we need to actually inform corporates as to what is there. So one of the functions I would think Rahul Bojja will have to do is how do we inform of our needs and our requirement. One is inform. If you inform, they will start feeling included. If they start feeling included, then what happens is they will get interested. If they get interested, you can influence them. If you can influence them, you can instruct them also. You can involve them. You can inspire them. Then only those fellows will come forward. This is a chain that we need to actually do. Very important for us that we do this one. Also at the same time, skill development activity. For example, what does sports and games do? To put it simply, it allows you to build your strength mentally and physically, gives you stamina, it gives you suppleness, it gives you speed, and it gives you skill. These are all the 5 things that you have. All the 5 things are required for the employees of the company. All the 5 things are required for their marketing, and all these things are something linked up with what they want to do. So how do we actually get this message across to them is extremely important. And that is where I think we need to actually look at, I would think the best way to do it is, we have FAPSI, FICCI, CII. We need to actually call a meeting of the captains of industry to come here. The second group, which is very important for corporate social, all the associates, for example, take Andhra Pradesh. The pharma industry is the largest industry at the moment, apart from the IT industry. In terms of the number of companies, in terms of the number of employees, and in terms of the earning capacity of those industries, where only those industries will, our corporates will be able to afford to spend money, because they have to make profits. That is why the law also says, if any company has 1,000 crore turnover, a 500 crore net worth, and a 5 crore profit, 2% of the profit will have to be actually spent on corporate social responsibility. So big companies, for example Tatas have set up a training center for archery, and some of the best archers have been trained there. A small good academy can bring. Now you look at Hyderabad, whether it is Sania, whether it is Saina, whether it is Sindhu, all of them, whether it is Hampi, whether it is Harika, all of them have actually come up, but you see they have, because they received encouragement, they received support. So our question is catching them young, catching the talent and utilizing and helping the talent. I used to be managing director of Godavari Fertilizers. For Kabaddi, I took the responsibility of having tournament. We organized the National Kabaddi Championships in Hyderabad in Lal Bahadur Stadium. Sharad Pawar came here. Gehlot, who is now the Chief Minister of Rajasthan, he had come here. Why I am telling is, if corporates come forward, you can actually get people to come in and be able to actually help us. That is very, very important for us to actually do it. The other thing what I was thinking is, district collectors will have a very important role. And I think the sports authority will also have to look at it like this. Many times, the profits are there, but they don't have an organization through which those profits can be spent on the corporate social activity. Either they have to look for non-profit organization, NGOs, or they have to look at some foundation which is already doing that type of work and do it. And unfortunately, there are not too many foundations for sports encouragement. So therefore, you need to actually identify who could be such persons who could actually help this particular. So how do you project that there is surplus funds can flow into desirable channels? This is also a very important. And there the collectors can easily do a very good thing. And what is very important is, all the companies who actually have funds. For example, in East Godavari, I will say Coromandel Fertilizers, Nagarjuna Fertilizers, AP Paper Mills, a large number of companies, a lot of textile mills, all of them have money and they have profits, but they don't know how to spend it. That is where the collectors, if they can take the lead and say, since you cannot spend, why don't you give this money and I will actually tell you where it has to be spent. And that is where your liaison with the collectors can help you to mobilize funds for what you think are very desirable activity. The second thing, you must actually try to look at, if supposing there is an association of all cement manufacturers, find out what can be done and whether they can take on the responsibility of one particular activity. Maybe one game they will sponsor. You take the IT industry, because there are a large number of people and all of them would be interested, what is it that they can actually do? So you actually have to identify the associations, the group of industries and the number of people. Say for example, Singareni collieries. What is it that they, I will tell you one instance. I used to be also chairman of the AP Weightlifters Association. What we did in Godavari Fertilizers, see, in Srikakulam we came to know there was one fellow who was very good in lifting actually rice bags. Young fellow, hardly 18 years. So what we said is, we sent a man, brought him and I appointed him as a security guard. And believe it or not, all the prizes at the AP level he used to win. Because you know, some natural talent also. So scouting for that natural talent is also. Then we conducted also one big weightlifting competition in Kakinada. Why I am telling is, companies, if you can actually put the seed in their mind, they would be more than happy to do it. But you should also actually look at where a group of industries can come together and can sponsor something. That will be a very, very good thing. And particularly giving equipment. For example, in weightlifting I found, I had set up almost 10 or 12 in Hyderabad. Everywhere I went and requested all the weights, dumbbells, everything used to be given by some company or the other, and they would very willingly, happily donate it. The only question is, you will take a little time to approach them. If you go on approaching them, then I'll tell you one instance. I had to take 2 corporate fellows in my car, take them to Hanuman Vyayamshala. When I took them to Hanuman Vyayamshala, and when they saw this fellow exercising there, they had very good equipment. And I just casually mentioned we have to provide. They said, very happily I will do it. Why I am telling you, very important your personal contact and touch with the corporate. And I would recommend that wherever associations like FAPSI, FICCI, CII, NASCOM or IT is AP, these are the organizations because they have a commitment and they have got an attachment here. So I think this is one very important thing that we need to actually look at it. Also at the same time, we should actually look at what could be a sustainable structure and what should be the systems that we have to build up and what should be the strategies we need to actually follow. Also at the same time, more important thing is get the message of inclusiveness, covering both health and education and covering the younger generation, and since sports and games have been neglected, it is all the more necessary for doing it, in which case we must actually say our responsibility to provide opportunities, our responsibility to build competence, our responsibility to provide access and our responsibility to make it sustainable. And if you can do like this, I am sure we will get lot of support. And what I would recommend is the Sports Coaching Foundation and the Sports Authority of AP, if they can actually join hands along with some of the associations of corporates and then actually rope in also the registrar of actually companies, the local companies registrar, if we can get them together, public sector undertakings particularly, public sector undertakings. For example, if you look at our games and sports in India, most of it has been sponsored either by the police or by actually the Indian Airlines or by actually the railways or by actually the other departments, because this has been how it is. And the public sector is something which is making a lot of pride. For example, NMDC in Hyderabad, Bharat Dynamics, Midhani or BHEL or for that matter ECIL, we have a large number of companies. Only thing, someone has to take the initiative, contact them and then decide who is better. Most of them have playgrounds, most of them have this. And one of the important things, because land is going to be very costly, if we can actually first utilize our stadia effectively and also look at where some land is available, government land, and get it reserved. Earlier in our we used to have as Porambok so that for future we could actually make it available. Something like that we ought to be doing. So I am thankful for giving me this thing. I would like to assure you, I also was chairman of SCOPE Standing Conference of Public Enterprises, the apex body for 246 central public sector undertaking. I still have a lot of influence with many of the central corporate bodies and maybe one or two state level public enterprises. Maybe if my good officers are required, I'll be more than willing and happy to support and assist whatever efforts the sports and games enthusiasts and the authorities concerned would like to take, and we can certainly do a lot more than what we are doing. Only thing is we have to get their involvement and then say what they will be responsible for that. Then in that case, I am sure they will take that responsibility on themselves. I once again thank Sai Baba for giving this one, and I am very happy that the Sports Authority of Andhra Pradesh, then Jayesh Ranjan, then Soumya, all of them have come here. So I am very happy that at least a good beginning has been made. Only thing is it has to become a movement. Then I am sure we will be able to achieve our objectives. Thank you, and I am sure corporate social responsibility means not only corporates but public also takes that social responsibility. Thank you very much.